In this session, we cover dynamic member-level data security. Member-level security is a fundamental requirement in any enterprise analytics deployment. The second part of this demonstration will cover distribution. Automated distribution is the other side of the same coin. Focusing on security, member level allows us to let John see the north, Mary see the south, and Paul see north and south using the exact same report and data model. To begin this demo, we're going to start with a basic demonstration of a database built with these features. For that, we're going to build a data model using the Excel spreadsheet, which is going to simulate the data in a classic database that includes data security. You can see here a customer table and importantly a country column because we're going to secure the countries of the database. We have customer profiles tables, product tables, promotions, manufacturers, manufacturer details, and last but not least the transactional data which will drive the metrics. Then two important tables here are security, which is a many-to-many table showing each country and each user that can see it and vice versa. And last but not least is a distribution table, which we'll use in the second part of this demo, which covers the user and their email address. Bringing this spreadsheet into Pyramid, we just drag and drop it into the screen here. Map the tables through the data flow ETL system. And you can see our distribution security tables have flown through as expected. We will add some time intelligence to the transaction table to get some nice date-time functions. And last but not least, publish this database to an in-memory database in Pyramid. This, of course, can be to any kind of data technology supported by the platform. The next part is crucial. Here we define the data model. In the data model, we're going to designate two tables specially. The first is the security table, which has been drawn accurately by the heuristic relationship engine. And we're going to set it as a security table. That means mark the table and all its columns as of type security. And we have the exact same functionality, which can be done by column, or again for the entire table, for distribution. This allows us to use these tables in the distribution and security framework without letting the user see them as part of the standard slice dice report building and ad hoc querying functionality, while at the same time leaving them available for the security and distribution parts of the application. We're going to save our model. And last, we will go ahead and process this entire flow to produce our in-memory database. Now that it's complete, we get bounced into the discovery experience, and you'll notice that the security and distribution tables, which became dimensions, are not visible in the metastructure of this model. For the demonstration, we're going to build a simple report of different metrics by country. We're going to save our report, call it the country report, and we will then go ahead and also add that into a simple presentation. So now we have a report by country and a dashboard by country. Now comes the crucial aspect of setting up the member level security. We go to the admin, and the first thing we'll see is that we have a user account for each user that will log into the system. Next, we go to the data source manager, open up our data model, and we start by setting up some roles for this data model, in this case the user's role. All of the users in the system belong to this role. Next, we go to model settings, select the role, and here we can set customize attribute, measure security, even overlays, but most importantly member level security for each hierarchy in the data model. Here we want to secure country. The obvious thing to do is to click on these checkboxes. That means anyone in the user role can only see United Kingdom, United States. While that is very good for simplistic security and for very basic functionality by role, it really doesn't work when you're trying to set it by user. In fact, what you need is an ability to use a scripting framework to write some logical constructs that would allow you to set security by user as they log in. We're going to pop up the PQL Editor, where you're given the full metastructure of your model and the gigantic list of prequel functions that would allow you to write your scriptable logic. And we're going to use this to construct a formula for how to associate the logged in user with the data that they can see. To do that, we're going to use the non-empty function, which simply says let's look at the first list and find all the non-empty elements based on the second list. So for example here, I want to look at all the countries And to do that, I just double clicked on the country hierarchy and added the all members function, which means get me all the members from the country list. And I want to cross join it against a certain user, and I will find all the countries that are not empty for that given user. Sure enough, the security table is now visible in the metastructure. If I come into the user ID column and double click and add my name to the list, this is basically going to say find me all the countries that are not empty where Avi is in the schema. This is great if I want to hard code it for Avi. Of course, we're trying to make this dynamic, so we need to write a formula based on the logged in user. And for that, we need to use something called string to member. This function allows us to convert a formulaic string into a member. In this case, I'm going to look up the username function from the identity category of common library functions and apply that with the security user ID column, and that will be dynamically evaluated when each user logs in, so that I only find the non-empty countries for the specifically logged in user. For those people familiar with MDX and security in Microsoft OLAP cubes or SAP BW Info cubes, this is a very obvious set of things to do. What's amazing is that this will work on any SQL database without the OLAP structures that are inherent in those technologies. You can see once I hit the security, the column changes to yellow, so I know that I have security defined on that column, and now I've effectively secured my model for each user as they're logged in against the data model we designed using that Excel spreadsheet going into our in-memory database. But there are other ways of doing this. So I'm going to clear that security and actually now look at it from a different perspective. First, I can do it at the security table level, which shows up in red. And I can actually define it here because I'm using SQL joins that works equally well. But more simplistically, I can actually use the user ID column itself. I don't need to create the non-empty cross join. I can just say where the user ID that is logged in and let the inherent joins of the schema secure the database for me. So you can see here I'm taking the logged in user, formulating that as a user ID and popping it out. And you can see when I hit the preview button, only comes up with my name. That will then use it to filter countries, and the countries will then filter the data, and so it'll flow. And you can see how this all fits together again from the relationship diagram of each table connecting to each other table. So to recap, our country table looks like that. And now I'm going to log into a different session as Omri, who remember had more limited access to the data, open up the exact same report live on the fly, and you'll see that his report is immediately filtered to just Australia and Germany, which are the two countries that Omri could see out of the full listing. And of course, the exact same effect can be seen with the dashboard. When I open up the dashboard as Omri, I'm limited to just those two countries, and regardless of how much I slice, dice, requery, filter, sort the information, it'll always remain secured, focusing on the data he can see.